Sarah Thompson never fit the mold of what the Carter family expected. She wasn't born into money, she didn't grow up in a mansion, and she certainly didn't fit the polished California image the Carters showed the world. Sarah was a Montana girl, tough-skinned, honest, loyal, and raised around the Hells Angels chapter led by her Uncle Duke. She wasn't a criminal, she was family-oriented, road smart, and fiercely protective of the people she loved. And that was exactly why Ryan Carter fell in love with her the moment he met her during a motorcycle charity ride in Arizona. For years, Ryan defended her against his family's judgment. He loved her wild spirit, her kindness, and her devotion to their two kids, Liam and Rosie. But after Ryan's sudden death in a highway collision, everything Sarah had leaned on collapsed in an instant. She didn't just lose her husband, she lost her only bridge to the Carter empire. Within days, Ryan's mother, Veronica Carter, began acting like Sarah never existed. Calls went unanswered. Invitations stopped. The Carter mansion, once warm when Ryan was alive, had become a fortress with iron gates and cold glares. Sarah tried to be patient, believing they were grieving in their own way. But she learned the truth the hard way. One stormy evening, Sarah drove to the Carter estate to pick up Ryan's keepsakes for Liam and Rosie. She arrived soaked from the pouring rain, holding her daughter's hand while Liam clutched her jacket. Veronica met her at the door with a stiff expression, flanked by two Carter cousins who looked like they were waiting for a command. "You shouldn't have come here," Veronica said flatly. Sarah blinked, confused. "I just came to pick up Ryan's things. For the kids." Veronica's lips curled into something between a smirk and disgust. "There's nothing here for you. Or for them." Before Sarah could respond, the two cousins stepped away and returned dragging boxes, stuffed with Sarah's belongings, her kids' clothes, even Ryan's old leather jacket. They dumped everything unceremoniously onto the wet driveway. Liam burst into tears. Rosie clung to Sarah's leg. Sarah's voice cracked. "Veronica, what are you doing? These are Ryan's children, your grandchildren." Veronica's eyes turned cold. "Ryan is gone. And without him, you're nothing to this family. You and your biker background are an embarrassment. You won't get a penny, and you won't set foot here again." Sarah stood frozen as the mansion door slammed shut, leaving her and her kids in the rain with nothing but a pile of soggy boxes and heartbreak. She gathered what she could, loaded it into her truck, and drove away trembling. The world felt cruel and unfair. Her kids cried softly in the backseat. But she knew where she belonged. She pulled into Duke's ranch, where the rumble of motorcycles echoed like thunder. When the Hells Angels saw her tears, the mood turned fierce. Duke wrapped an arm around her and growled, "You're not alone. Nobody treats family like that." Sarah didn't know it yet, but the Carters had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the dusty windows of Duke's ranch house, casting a warm glow over the long wooden table where Sarah sat with a cup of black coffee. Her kids were finally resting peacefully after the storm of the previous night. She still couldn't believe the Carters had thrown them out so heartlessly. She had expected tension, but not cruelty. Then her phone rang. A number she didn't recognize flashed across the screen. She hesitated, then answered quietly, "Hello. Mrs. Sarah Carter." A calm voice asked. "This is Mitchell Grant, your husband's estate attorney. I've been trying to reach you for weeks." Sarah straightened. "I was told there was nothing for us." Veronica said everything transferred to the Carter estate. Mitchell paused as if choosing his words carefully. "That isn't true. Your husband left a personal will. A very deliberate one." Sarah felt her heartbeat pick up. "What do you mean?" Mitchell exhaled lightly. "Ryan left his entire personal fortune, his company shares, trust funds, investments, to you and your children. The total value is estimated at $200 million. Forks dropped. Chairs scraped. Every biker at the table turned toward Sarah. She swallowed. "You must have the wrong person." "No, ma'am," Mitchell replied firmly. "Ryan was very clear. You and your children are the sole heirs. The Carter family has no legal claim." Duke leaned back with a slow grin. "Well, ain't that poetic justice?" But the Carters weren't about to accept defeat. 2 days later, thick envelopes arrived, legal petitions filed by the Carters to block the inheritance. They claimed Sarah was unfit, reckless, and influenced by a criminal biker gang. They demanded emergency control of Ryan's assets, claiming they needed to protect the children. Sarah trembled reading the accusations. Not because she feared losing, but because she couldn't believe how far they would go to tear her down. Duke slammed his fist on the table. They wanna play dirty. Fine. But we don't fight with fists, we fight smarter. The Hells Angels rallied behind her, not as outlaws, but as a highly organized family. One member, Jax, had served as a paralegal for years. Another ran a private security firm. Others used their connections to gather character witnesses who had known Sarah and Ryan for years. When the first hearing arrived, the courthouse buzzed with reporters. The Carters walked in wearing designer suits, Veronica in pearls that gleamed under the lights. They looked smug, certain Sarah would crumble under the pressure. But Sarah walked in with her chin high, wearing Ryan's leather jacket, holding her kids' hands, with Duke and 5 Hells Angels members beside her. Not intimidating, steady, protective. The judge listened quietly as both sides presented their arguments. Then Mitchell Grant played one final piece of evidence. A video recorded by Ryan 6 months before his death. Ryan's face appeared on the courtroom screen, smiling gently. "If you're watching this, something happened to me," he said. "Everything I have belongs to Sarah and our kids. She's the strongest woman I know. I trust her completely." Silence fell across the room. Veronica's confident expression shattered. The judge ruled swiftly in Sarah's favor. Outside, cameras flashed as Sarah stepped into the sunlight, her children by her side, the Hells Angels surrounding them like a shield. One reporter shouted, "What will you do now that you've inherited $200 million? Sarah smiled softly. "I'm going to build a life my husband would be proud of, on my own terms." And as Duke placed a hand on her shoulder, she realized. She hadn't just won a fortune. She had reclaimed her dignity, her future, and her strength.